Want to make sure. Ah, okay. So we're recording this, and so don't worry about like overtaking notes. Just kind of take it in. All right, do the best you can to take it in, and then you can always go back, and I'll give you this in a couple of days. I'll just give you the whole shebang. All right. All right. So with that thought, I love this quote. What's more valuable than money? Time, right? Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you can't get more time. Love that quote by Jim Rohn. I was listening to a Netflix thing by Bill Gates, and his assistant said, he can buy whatever he wants. I mean, he's got plenty of money, but he said he doesn't have more time. More time. You cannot buy more time, and so he is very tenacious about his time and his schedule. So what's the one thing that all successful leaders have in common? They know how to manage their time, and they help their followers manage their time. And if you can't manage your time, then there's no way you can get the things done you want for your work, and even more importantly, for your life. I was reading two research articles this week that I thought was interesting. Most of us think that is it that the world's busy, or it's my mind that's busy? And a lot of the research is actually starting to say it's really probably we think too much about what we are not getting done than it actually is that we're busy. So I won't go into all of that research, but we will. That is all about the T5 system that we're going to be talking about today. So I was, and just one other way to think about that is I always think, I don't live too far from where Disney grew up, Walt Disney, and I was out in Marceline at the barn where he used to hang out as a kid, and he would dream about Walt Disney, or not Walt Disney, Disneyland. And it hit me, how old was he when he died? You know how old Disney was when he died? He's 65. He was only 65 years old. He only has as many hours as you do. We all only have 24 hours, right? And he was able to use that time very wisely. And probably he lives less than probably how long you're going to live. But he was able to absolutely use time to his advantage and be able to make a difference. And I want to be able to help you figure out how to improve that. And so to help me understand just more specifically where you are, because everybody's in a different place, if you would just put in the chat, when it comes to being a busy leader, what is your single greatest, your challenge, or a frustration or some kind of an obstacle that you're having right now? If you could just put that in the chat, and let's see if I can find the chat. Okay. All right, while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you a little bit, just think about it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story, because I was in high school when I first started learning about leadership. I was getting involved in all kinds of things. I was in student council. I was a drum major. I was like over the nerd club, the computer club. I was the president of that for a while. And I got involved in all of this stuff, and I loved leadership. But the problem was I was addicted to something. I was addicted to a drug. I don't know if you could guess what that drug is, but it was, balance, work, and life for sure. I was addicted to adrenaline, and I had some family problems. My parents had a bunch of problems when I was in high school, and I think I was just trying to run away from that and just, not have to think about it. And so I became really addicted to just busy. And I also had ADHD. And so some ways that adrenaline like kicked me in to stay focused. And that moved into college days where I had to be more self-disciplined, and where I went to like this, it was a Christian school where they gave more homework than you could ever get done, more reading than you could actually get done. And I remember one day I was so stressed. I had to work my way through college. I was trying to figure out how to get all of this stuff done. And I have this belief system in my head that says I'm not enough. I'm like firstborn. I have to be responsible. And I remember there is no way I'm going to be able to get everything done for the next day, even if I had an all-nighter. And I remember it's the only time in or one of the few times in my life. Now, there's some people that feel this all the time, and I understand that. My daughter is one of them, but she feels like I'm gonna kill myself because I can't get this done, and I don't know how I'm going to be able to face that reality. And so I say all of that because this thing of money can really affect. Um, it can affect you on a deep level, right? It can affect your life. It can affect your death. And I'm just like, oh, I just don't want that for people. I want you to be able to know that, first of all, there's always hope and there's always a choice. It may not be a good choice. Some of the choices that some of you have that may feel really overwhelmed, but there's always a choice. And so that's why I think in many ways, I finally started moving to the place where I was able to live a free life and a fulfilled life. And I know many people, like if you're an entrepreneur, you're all about freedom, right? You want to be able to have freedom, but it's not just about freedom. It's also about fulfillment and being able to not have all of these tapes that run in our head that can guide us and cause us to go down a bad path. So that's why I am trying to help busy leaders. And you're the influencers, you're the small business owners, the entrepreneurs, the nonprofits, those with a practice maybe, or maybe even a mom with multiple kids. Have you ever thought about that as a leader? And I'm looking for the person that you're probably busy, you're probably hardworking and driven, and that's caused you to be tired, maybe overwhelmed, and maybe even burn out, like I was way back then. And sometimes you become an overhelper. You're helping everybody else, but you're not taking care of yourself. And if that's who you are, then that's exactly who I am trying to care for and to come alongside. You may feel off balance, like Jake said earlier. And I see Mariah said it's taking on more when not finished with pre-existing. Oh, isn't that true? How many of us have this? There's another thing, right? There's always this other thing that it's like, I just as I'm even, maybe I never allow myself to have completions because there's always something else to do. And I never get to a place where I can just be at peace. So that's a very typical one. Manuel saying, I'm managing multiple projects. Okay, yeah. So that is a biggie, like multiple projects. And am I getting any of them actually completed, right? It feels like I'm that plate spinner. If you've ever seen that old illustration, the guy that used to spin a plate, and then I got another plate going, and then the next plate, and I just keep adding plates. And before long, you're like, one of these plates is going to fall. And so you feel like that guy, man, you are the person I absolutely think T5 would help with. So because it's, you're trying to balance life and work. Yes. And some of you may think you're crazy. It's like, why do I do this? This is so much work. It's so much effort. And you're smart. You're not stupid. I just want you to know, you may feel like you're crazy, but you want more for your life, and it's like, so you're like, I want more for my life, but it's overwhelming. And is there another way? Is there another way to be able to go through this? And so, yeah, man, you're so good not being able to give 100% to them all. Yes. So yeah, Carolyn, we can relate to that, right? It's that. And so what happens is that feeling of, that's where overwhelm begins to happen. And it doesn't have to be that way. And so I cannot wait to get through the rest of this. I've got to keep moving because that's exactly what we're going to talk about here in a second. We're not going to talk about doing more, honestly, a lot. And well, okay, I'm going to shut up. So I can get through. Anyway, we're wanting to make a difference, but there's so much to do and to get overwhelmed, and it's getting overwhelming, and there's choices and there's distractions, and it's not feeling effective, and I'm just not getting the results that I want. And if that's what you feel like sometimes, this is for you. I found this in Harvard Business Review several years ago, actually, that I read this: 90% of managers squander their time in ineffective activities. It's not that they're not busy, actually. These are all busy leaders, but they're busy doing the wrong things. So again, yeah, they've got lots going on, but what the research says is that 90% of us aren't doing the right things. And so we're feeling overwhelmed. And a good leader is learning to manage two things. They're learning to manage, and this same article says they're learning to manage focus, and you have to manage energy, those two things. And if you're low on managing focus and you're low on managing energy, you tend to be a procrastinator. Now, not always, but sometimes we have procrastination because of fear, right? And so it keeps us from pushing through. And so we become a procrastinator. Others of us are distracted, right? You may be low in focus, but you're high on energy. And but it's easily for you to get distracted by the next shiny object that's out there. And someone just mentioned that a little bit earlier. There's those who are high on focus but low on energy, and I would say those are the disengaged. And then there's those that are high on focus and high on energy, and you're very purposeful. And then there's a few of you out there, many of you that are in this group right now, you may be like overly purposeful, and I call it like you're over purposeful, and that is why you're feeling overwhelmed. And so if you want to be more purposeful and you want to avoid procrastination and being disengaged and distracted or burnout, if you like to at least double what you're doing in your productivity, but with less stress and less time, if you want more time for all the things that really matter to you, then this is perfect for you. But it is going to require something of you. It's going to require a mindset shift. It's going to require you actually to slow down, not to speed up. It's going to require a word that you're going to hate. It's a P word. It's a 4-letter P word. It's plan. We hate that word plan, don't you? But it's like, but we're gonna. It's not bad. This is not a bad thing, and it's not, doesn't take much. A small tweak of your life can make a huge difference. And we're going to have to look at yourself in the mirror, and you're going to have to be honest that you're not accomplishing everything you want. And so those are the kind of things that's probably going to require. And because of that, who this is not for, it's not for the lazy leader, the position only leader, the self-consumed or self-centered leader. It's not for the person who is so proud. Basically, it's the person who's so proud that they can't learn from others, or that they are so proud that they can't look in a mirror and say, and be honest, right? You're going to have to be honest with yourself. And so this isn't for those who are not willing to invest in themselves, to look at themselves, to even look at your stuff. It's someone that's willing to say they want to grow. They want to grow past where they are into something better. It's for the people who are not, it's not for the people who are not willing to open up and to grow and have bigger impact and influence. So what you're going to discover, though, is how to not be busy, but rather effective. And there is a difference between efficient and effective, right? Those are two different things. You can be very efficient, you can be really fast going nowhere or going off a cliff. So that's not what we're talking about. You're going to discover how to be effective at actually accomplishing what you want, how to focus in spite of the endless distractions, how you're going to discover how the right people for the right, find the right people for the right positions, and to delegate without taking it all back and getting nervous. Have you ever done that? You try to delegate, but then it's like, I want to get, you get it, you take it back because they're not doing as well as they're supposed to, they're not doing exactly what you wanted them to do. It's how to not be busy, but rather, let's see, I already said that one. How to discover how to better communicate with your team, and not just communicate, but connect, which there is a big difference. You know what I'm talking about? Like right now, I feel like I'm communicating a lot, right? But the question is, are you connecting with me? Are you staying with me? Does it make sense? And do we need to have some more dialogue to figure out how to help you? It's like, that's connecting, and right now I don't like this format. I love coaching. Coaching is like, I'm in there with you and helping you figure stuff out. But it's learning to communicate through connecting, not just communication, and in creating a positive culture, which, by the way, 94% say culture is important to a company's success. And then also you can do more in less time, and you can do more of, and here's the key of what is important, more of what is important. So it's not just about, what we talk about, I want to be balanced. It's not about balance. Okay. So, and I'm going to explain a little bit more why here in a second, but the individualized, this is what you're going to get. I promise, is you're going to get this individualized step-by-step T5 system for better productivity. And it's going to use your time so that you can double what you want to do with half the time and with less stress, so that you can do more for what is important to me. And you hang in there, you're going to see exactly that's doable. All right. Some of you are like, yeah, well, whatever. Right. So, there's an old saying that the longest distance between any 2 points is the shortcut. Let me say, the longest distance between any 2 points is the shortcut. So often we think we're going to take just a shortcut, right? If I just get this magic thing, and it's going to end up being and it ends up being the dead end and you have to go all the way back again. So I just like to give a few house rules on the front end. I'm not talking about a quick fix mentality. I'm not talking about giving you just some quick saying that I can do something and not be able to actually do it. I'm also not about miracle buttons and silver bullets and fantasy advice, because it's just not realistic. And so hang in there with me, and I think you're going to see the doable aspect of it, but it's going to require something of you, and anything worthwhile is uphill, right? I mean, anyone can coast. So if you think this is just about coasting, I'm not talking about that. But you know what? You're already working hard. The question is, would be willing to work hard doing the right things, which if it means letting go of some of the ways that you have been doing it. And so that's sometimes hard, because sometimes it's like, yeah, but I like that. Maybe I like doing some things that I'm doing and I don't want to let go of it, even if I know it would be important to me. All right. How am I doing so far? How are you connecting with this message so far? Yeah. Are you guys with me so far? Is this connecting? Yes. Thumbs up. Okay. And anyone else out there? This is why I want to see your pretty faces. I want to know if it's like, if you fall asleep. Okay. Thanks, Carolyn.
Yeah. Go ahead and give us a reaction too.
Yeah. Give me a reaction. If it's not working for you, I need to know. If you're starting to fall asleep, I will change immediately. Right. I mean, I want to connect with you. I don't want to just like give you a bunch of information that you fall asleep on. Okay, I'm gonna keep going, and you help me out, friends. Okay, if I need to make a shift or something. So here's kind of where we left off. You can, if you can relate to anything that I've just told you, I've got some really exciting news for you. And here's the thing: none of those things that we just mentioned are the real problems, and in many ways, it's not your fault. It's something much deeper. Okay. And I can sometimes use the cause and effect thought here. It's like, if like let's use a clock as an example. Like like your alarm is set to wake you up, right? And that helps your business. So if you set the alarm clock, the cause, and you wake up, then that's the effect. So you forget to set the alarm clock, well, then you sleep in, and that's the effect. And so without the alarm, the chances are you could oversleep, and which is the negative effect. And maybe waking up late could actually affect how people perceive you, or how you get something done, and all of these kinds of things. So maybe another way to think about it is like, you being busy is not the problem. It's not working harder. It's not balance, or having more time, or overcoming distractions, or in some ways even achieving your goals is not the problem. Okay. The problem is, and the root is the root cause that's causing you to be busy. Okay. And so if you're not implementing this proven T5 system, that's the answer. Okay. There is a process. And if you go through this process, then you're going to get a result. Okay. So once you switch, here's what will happen. You'll have a tailored for you step-by-step plan to know what you need to spend your time on. Okay. And you'll know, and it's predictable, and it's consistent. And then all of that will happen with less of your needed time, actually. And so that you can know what not to spend time on. So there's things that you need to spend time on, but there's a whole lot of things you need to not spend time on. But then the challenge is, choosing that, right? And so you're going to learn to do that. And you're going to enjoy filling up your calendar with things that you want to fill your calendar up with, instead of things that everybody else wants to fill your calendar up with. You're going to experience a heightened confidence, knowing what you're achieving, and your plan is helping you and helping your team. And your team is going to be excited more for you and want to follow you. And you're going to live with more freedom and more intentionality, and your energy and your focus is going to become more effective and not just efficient. And we're gonna go from good. You're gonna let go of good, so you can become great. That's the Jim Collins great classic book, right? And then you're gonna go on vacation. How many of you like to go on vacation? What? And not only go on vacation, but go on vacation without worrying, without being concerned. Carolyn, yeah. I want to go on vacation. You know, man, I am with you, by the way. In fact, I'm rewarding myself the end of this year. I have already got it. I already know where I want to go, and I am planning that, and I can't wait to go on vacation and not worry, right? So it's a wonderful thing that I want to be able to see you do as well. And then in a few minutes, you're going to hear how not to only master your time, but you're also going to learn how to have your team want to show up and be engaged and in everything that you do that's on your plate and actually want to do it. Okay. All right. And then what's the last thing? Most importantly, you will learn to live the life that you were created to live and to live a legacy. Oh, and again, this is the most important thing. The more important thing is not that you live your life just, checklist from checklist to this is why I'm not about to-do lists. I think to-do lists are important, but we sometimes become we're so busy doing our to-do lists, but it's not getting us to the place where we really want. So that's the goal. All right. And so right before I move into the T5 system, I don't want to be rude here. So let me introduce myself to you. Sometimes forget. My name is Chad Earhart, and I am the owner of the Chad Earhart Coaching Company and freeme.co and several other different websites. And I'm certified with the John Maxwell team. If you know John Maxwell, he is it's the fastest and largest growing leadership company in the world, leadership development company in the world. And so I'm a part of that group. I'm also a speaker. I've spoken all over the United States and all over the country and virtually all over the world. And I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been a pastor. I'm a father. I'm a friend, and I'm a son. And recently, I'm a grand Chad. I talked about that for those of you who didn't make it at the very beginning. I spent the afternoon just with my daughter and my granddaughter, and my family. I've got 4 kids, but I was with one of them today, and earlier this week I was with another one, and see, this is where time is so important, right? I was able to spend 2.5 hours with my daughter who wanted to just talk. And that's so valuable to me that I could just say, you know what, that's okay. I'm going to let go of some other things because I have margin in my life, and I'm going to just listen and to get my daughter's heart. And oh my gosh, there's nothing more valuable than that. For me anyway. So that's a little bit about me. And then I am absolutely a recovering busy leader adrenaline junkie. And I continually have to battle this thing of just doing more instead of doing more important things. And here's some of my mentors and some of the people that I help. I mean, these are all different kinds of situations and different kinds of, from Chamber of Commerce's to churches to businesses. And some of my mentors, there's John Maxwell, and there's Kevin Harrington with a think tank, and others that just had a difference in my life, and many, many others as well. So let's jump in. All right, you guys ready? Let's jump right into this T5 system. Let's just learn some more very practical stuff. The first, and so I do want to warn, here's what I do want to tell you. A lot of gurus out there, they're not teaching some of the things that I teach you. In fact, they teach some of the very opposite. They want you to go through their system, their program, their training, and it's not individualized. And so you find yourself buying another thing, but not actually achieving anything. Yeah, grandchild. Yeah. Yeah, my family made that up for me. So I want you to hear that, right? It's not about just going through a system or a program or another list of things that don't help you where you are. The second thing is what happens is you stop thinking for yourself. And so I'm not just trying to feed you more information. If you go to a doctor, you probably already know what they're gonna say. You need to eat healthier, you need to get exercise, you need to not do bad things like smoke or whatever it is. You already know that that's not the problem. The problem is knowing to actually do it, right? And so coaching, what it helps with is you to think, and our education system is not teaching us to think. Our education system is teaching us to regurgitate. Here's a bunch of information. Let me give me a test off of everything I told you. but we don't think into what would work for us. We don't think into how to do what it is we need to do. And I'll just leave it at that. And is there anything else? That's mainly more. Yeah. Oh, I know. Here's another one. And this jumps right into our first productivity T1. And it's just this whole productivity paradox. And that is that people want you to think that, I mean, what you think makes sense is that you need to do more, right? And the research actually says you need to do less. In fact, I just heard this last week. It was on NPR. There was a whole thing just on doing less in the workplace, and how people are either achieving, when they do less, they're actually achieving the same or even better, getting better results. And I'm going to give you a couple of absolute research, some research that is absolutely proving this to be true. But this T1 is all about these mindsets. It's the myths, it's the beliefs that are going on in your head that says, yeah, that can't be right. Myths like, we can manage our time. Well, you can't manage time. Right? You can manage money, but you can't manage time. We all only have 24 hours. That's why it's so valuable, because once it's gone, it's gone. It's learning to manage your life, not time, and your perception. Myth, it's, the early bird gets the worm, is what we've always said. But, what about the night owl gets the rat? And so if you're not a morning person, you can go, I guess I can't, that's not for me, right? And it's like, well, no, you just are different. You're different in your personality. We need to figure out what works for you, right? Maybe you're not a planner person. Maybe you're not a to-do list person. So let's figure out what works for you. There's myths like, I failed, so I'm a failure. How many of us believe that? So we stop failing. And yet that's how we learned when we were kids. You learned to walk by falling, and you got back up and you fell. And after a while you started going, oh, there's a balance thing. I should figure that out. That's how we learn. And then all of a sudden we get into school and it's like, you can't fail anymore. And we stop taking risks and we stop failing. And, the most successful people I know, the 1%ers that I'm trying to help you understand today, every one of them that I've ever talked with, they all say they have crazy failure stories, and they encourage it. And they say fall quickly, but fall forward. So in other words, don't keep doing this. I'm not saying that, but take a step and then learn from it. Okay, we're going to move my head here so I don't keep getting knocked. But there's so many myths like that. Myths of the harder you work, the more you get done. Let me just give you a quick example of this one, just to kind of talk to your head. I'm not talking to your heart. I know in this session, I'm hoping that it gets into your head enough that you would at least consider the T5 system. But I know I'm talking more to your head than to your heart, but let me just give you some research on this. Everybody with me still, by the way? Let's just do a quick check-in. Give the person on your right a big massage. No. Okay, let's see. All right, are we still with me? Emmanuel, all right, I can see you. All right, he's still smiling. All right, he hasn't fallen asleep. All right, Carolyn's with me. Come on, Mariah, come on, Amanda. Show me some love. Show me some love here. All right, and then 5, 6, 2, 4. All right. Glad you're on, 4779. All right, let me give you just this quick research. A century ago, Henry Ford instituted from the 48 hours to a 40-hour work week. And he realized the reason why he did that is because it was more productive, right? He wasn't doing it because, it's like, I just want to be nice to my workers. He actually did it because it worked. And so for a century now, we have kind of been off of that system, the 40-hour work week. Now, the problem is we kind of have been inching up a little bit or staying about level on this, but American workers, let me just show you the difference. American workers work about 137 hours more than the Japanese. 499 more hours than the French, according to the International Labor Organization. Now, OECD found that greater productivity isn't a benefit from this, right? So for instance, the Greeks are some of the most hardworking and working 2,000 hours a year on average, compared to, say, the Germans, who work about 1,400 hours each year. See how much less? That's significant, right? 100 hours less a year. But I want you to catch this. Their productivity is 70% higher. Ugh. I don't know whether to get angry or to say mic drop, right? At this stage. I mean, it's just like, why do we keep trying to work more? And yet that's what so many of us think is going to get us ahead. And less is more. Now, I'm not saying less always. I'm not saying to the point where you don't do anything. I'm not saying that. You have to be doing the right things. But there is a point of no return where it's not of significant when you work to a certain point. And you probably know this already. If you work 80 hours a week consistently, if you don't have a day off, your body finally says, forget you, right? You're not going to keep doing this to me. And some ways our bodies know this, but we don't do a very good job of listening to it. So the productivity paradox is all about kind of shifting that mindset. And so you're going to have to look at the hardest person to lead on your team is who, right? It is me, right? I can tell my leaders everything that I want them to do, and because they're paid to do what I tell them to do. Or if you're a volunteer, even some, it's like, how about a volunteer? Are they going to follow you, right? So it's like, what's harder is for me to do what I know needs to be done. And so I say all of this because I just want you to hear, the problem isn't your culture. There's a lot of you out there, you're in I get it. You may have some really terrible leaders and they may be a very difficult situation, but it's not your culture. It's not them. It's not your team. Some of you are like, if I just had a better team. And some of you, it's like, well, you're in some really bad circumstances at home or whatever. I'm just wanting to tell you that is not the situation. So what I started doing is I have a little Post-it note in my office right here over my daughter who had the baby. I still have her ultrasound picture up here, but I have this Post-it note and it says, I am the problem. I remind myself, I am the problem. If I'm not getting what I want in my life, it's nobody else's fault but my own. My choices have gotten me here, and I'm not saying there aren't bad things happen. I had death of a child. I've had some divorce in my background. I've been fired before. I've had some really, really hard things happen in my life. And I could say, hey, sucks to be me. And that's the problem. But I am the problem ultimately. And I am also, though, the solution. And Ray Kroc took McDonald's, because of the leadership lid that he had, his was much better than the McDonald's brothers, whether you like him or not. He was able to take this one or two McDonald restaurant, international, and to what we now have across, the world. And so I want you to just look at yourself through this and be honest that it's like, if you're not getting what you want, it's the cause and result thing. Okay. So what we need is basically to find a simple proven process. And that's what T2 is. T2 is it's a proven management mastery program. And if you find yourself just doing lots of activities and ignoring your feelings and doing what your team, can do they should be doing, and you're doing it for them, or you're getting angry, maybe you're self-hating, maybe you're dumping instead of delegating, maybe you have these endless emails that are coming in, or you're chasing the latest ideas, you're doing things the right way, right? I'm right, but I'm not happy. I'm doing things I think the right way, but I'm not happy. Or maybe you're just like meeting out, right? Any of these things sound familiar to you? Well, then those are the ineffective and overwhelmed process. It's not effective and it's not going to get you what you want. And part of the reason is we sometimes let these things, our mindset, it's the things that are under the surface that are running behind they're running your life and you're just not aware of it. And sometimes it causes you to do crazy things like the vanity metrics, right? So it's things like, you do spend a lot of time focusing on different things, but one of them is like you're chasing the likes on Facebook, let's say, So do you spend a lot of time focusing on getting results or getting likes, comments, and shares? And to be honest, right? Do you want to be liked by everyone, which is impossible? Or do you want income? and freedom and impact. And so sometimes these things behind is what affect us. And so one of the individuals that I've helped recently said, I felt lost in a sea of uncertainty for the future. I spent my days focused on what I couldn't control, and helped me think into a better way to use my time. And with help, I've become more efficient, effective, and more focused. I'm now focused on the opportunities ahead of me, and this new mindset has given me power and freedom over my days and my future. How many of you like to have power over that? And one of the examples is Kevin Gwynn. Kevin is from Fort Worth, Texas. He's a busy businessman. He had kind of plateaued in his business, and long story short, he wanted to make $1 million for the year, and he had been plateaued. I mean, this was like doubling his income, more than doubling his income. And he was like, but there's no way I can do that because I'm way too freaking busy. And I'm like, okay, well, then what's behind that? And we kind of started looking about what's behind it. We started setting some very specific goals for him, but he was just like, I'm afraid, I just don't think I can do it. And he said, and then we started realizing one of the reasons is because he was actually afraid of failing. It's like, because what if I can't make $1 million? Well, guess what? He didn't make $1 million. He only made like 975,000 during COVID. And he says, Chad, he said, I had a couple $1,000s left in my account. And he goes, when we met, and he goes, I just can't believe it. He goes, guess how much I have in my account today? And this was like a month ago now. He said, I have $100,000 just sitting in my account. It's like, wow. And so he was able to rethink about time and do things in a different way. And it gave him some amazing results. And it's what I call dream and focus and lead. Dreaming is about getting clarity. You have to have clarity of vision. Focusing, it's focusing, following one course until successful, which means knowing what's important and the things that matter, and then learning to say no and figuring out how to say no to all the other things that really aren't, which means learning to lead. And leading is not just about leading others. It starts by leading yourself. One of my favorite stories is of this gal, Rafika, who was from Indonesia. She moved here. She had gone through a divorce. There's this whole story behind that, but she was a single mom wanting a job, and all she could find was a CNA job. And I hope you're with me. Come on, back to attention. This is a great story. So she was, let me just make sure we all are awake. Everybody awake still? Yep. Okay. All right, cool. So Rafika, and again, questions, go ahead, ask questions. The chit chatters. Yeah, that's funny. I wish I was seeing that earlier. Yeah, the chit chatters. I like the way you describe that. The chit chatters. Yeah. How many of us have that, right? It's like, this is a good word picture. Okay, so back to Rafika. Rafika, international mom, wanting a job. She could only find a CNA job. Working all night long, getting up, trying to take care of her daughter. She was just work and sleep, work and sleep. She went to McDonald's, she went to Walmart, and she worked, and that was it. She hadn't seen any of America, and she was exhausted. And she just wanted a couple of things. She wanted to be able to have she wanted to take care of her daughter. Most important thing in her life is her daughter, and she wanted to see her raised and become successful and have opportunities that she never had. She wanted, because she only ate noodles and rice growing up. And so she had a mindset that she was kind of getting stuck in. And she wanted to be able to have a guy that she could go travel with, and she wanted to and she wanted to have a dream job. And her dream job is around accounting, because that's what she did have a degree back in Indonesia that was around accounting. Well, long story short, a year later, actually less than a year later, much less than a year later, and by the way, she was just like, I don't think I can do this. I'm way too busy. I'm way too tired. I've already tried this for 5 years. Did you hear that? She had been in this system for 5 years, and she hadn't gotten out of it. And so that can feel extremely hopeless. In fact, I just talked to a lady I was just talking to Jake right before we started. I'm coaching a lady right now, and we've only had one session. And at the end of the session, I just love that she says, Chad, you know what this has done for me? And I said, what, Nancy? She says, I feel hope. And I'm just like, freedom. I love that. I want people, my core reason why I do things is I want to live free, and I want to help other people live free and fulfilled lives. And that's exactly what happened with Rafika and Nancy both. Nancy's just getting started, and she's, I mean, I don't even talk about the crazy things that she's going to do. But this gal, she, just in a very short amount of time, she got a job doing what she wanted as an accountant. And then she's like, and this happens all the time. People will say, now that I understand what I really want. And so she now reached up further, and she just recently moved to Kansas City, and she wants me to share this story with you. All these people want me to share this story with you, but she said she tripled her income in this move. And she has more time, for doing what she wants, and more income, which is even, to allow her to do more of what she wants. And so she took me to a really nice restaurant to be as being grateful. It was like, that was nice. And now she says, I'm reaching for another star. Is how she describes it. I'm reaching for another star. So it can bring hope, and it can bring life, and you can actually achieve what you want going through this system. So it's time life management mastery. Now, the T3 is then where we really crank it up. Okay. So some of you, like you were saying, it's like, how can you double your effectiveness? Or some of you, it's like, or even like 10x what you're doing. And I'm saying you can even do more than all that. How do you do that? It's through this key right here: automate and delegate. You have to know what you need to automate. And there's so many things you can automate. And then you also have to delegate. Now, so I'm just going to make this real practical for you. All right. We ready? Are we serious? Anyone serious about like changing your team? Any of you overwhelmed? You want to do something practical right now, and let's just do something about it? Hello? Anybody? I'm going to give you something very helpful just to get you started if you want, but I have to know that you want it. If you don't, I'll keep moving and just give you this. I'll just give you information. Or do you want application?
I'm
Hello?
here. Keep going.
Okay. All right.
I want to hear it.
Okay. Here we go then. All right. What I want you to do, let me just actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my, let me see here. I'm going to share. All right. My 3D leadership implementation guide. All right. What I want you to do is I want you to take a piece of paper out and just draw a big circle on. Well, first of all, I want you to look at your empty, I need you to have 2 pieces of paper. And this is something you can do. And we're not going to take the time to do all of this today. I just want you this is homework to help you get started. I want you to take everything that's in your head right now, and I want you to start writing everything that you have to do on a piece of paper. All right. So it's like, all right, Chad, and don't get overwhelmed. Don't go crazy. Don't there's no way I can get all this stuff out. Okay. Just the big stuff, right? It's like, but if you want to put pencil sharpening on there, that's fine. Right. I mean, it's like whatever is in your head. Part of the challenge is to get all of this stuff out of your head. So you're just not so filled with worry and all of these things that you're trying to keep going. Get all of this stuff out of your head, dump it. All right. So write it down, so at least right at the top of your thing, put everything I'm doing on this piece of paper. All right. All right. That's one thing. So you start writing it down, it's like, okay, I've got to, and some of it's probably, you can separate it if you want to, leadership or work from life. You can, if you want. You don't have to, but if you want to, most people find it more beneficial to separate the two, but then integrate what you want from the personal into your work. And I say that because some people need to like let's say you were going to sell a business. So you're going to have that separate. And so it's like all of the stuff in your business, maybe that's a good place to start. You just start writing all this stuff down. You're just like, okay, I've got to interview people. I've got to find the right people for, a certain position. And then I have to recruit them. Maybe that's a part of it. Maybe I have to I need to have a meeting to make sure that, everyone's like accomplishing what they're supposed to accomplish. And that means I need to organize that meeting. I need to decide what I'm going to put in that meeting. And, it's just like, all of this stuff, right? There it is. So you're going to do all of that. Then the next thing I want you to do, I want you to take another piece of paper, and I want you to draw a big circle. And that circle represents, the circle is, it's a circle of responsibility. So each of these is a circle of responsibility. And you're going to take all of those things from on A sheet, and you're going to transfer them over into B sheet. And when you do, you have to put them in only 4 categories. That's the caveat. That's a little challenging. So all of these things, and you can start putting them together. It's like, again, don't get overwhelmed by it, but just like, okay, I've got, all of these things. It sounds like some of these kind of fit together. Some of them don't fit together, but you start thinking about it. It's like, yeah, okay, I could probably put these together. This is recruitment, and this one is leadership. So maybe recruitment is one circle and leadership is in leadership development, maybe in another circle. Or maybe you're like, okay, I've run out of room, so I'm going to put leadership and recruitment together. All right, that can become a circle. So, you start thinking about it and you start putting these into circles of responsibility. All right, that's my second thing I want you to do. So now you have no more than 4 quadrants. And what we call this is the fractal model. I'm not going to I can't go into all the details behind the fractal model. I actually explained this to a coaching client this week. And what really resonated, and I don't know if you have a faith or not. I'm not pushing my faith. I do have a faith, but for some reason, this illustration really connected with her. And it's the way I'm trying to help you understand it. It's like Moses. Moses was trying to take people from Egypt, where they were being crushed with the weight of responsibility, and he was trying to take them out to the promised land, right? And in that process, he had over a million people that he was moving people from A to B, right? Which is exactly what leaders do. They're moving things from A to B, to eventually to C. And in the middle of this, he was helping everybody. And he was burning out, and everybody else was burning out around him because there was all this big line of people. And his father-in-law shows up and he says, "This can't be. What are you doing? You're killing yourself, and everybody else is going to get frustrated as well." So break down all of these responsibilities you have into smaller, manageable spans of care so that other people can do some of this. And then let's save the things that only you can do for the people at the top. And then we'll have a few of those people that you can really spend time in and invest in, and then they can invest in other people that can invest in other people. And that's what's called the fractal model. It's just like the DNA that you have is from a top level. It goes all the way into every other part of your business. And a fractal is like a snowflake. And if you look at a snowflake on its really smallest DNA, as well as the big, if you look at the smallest level, it looks exactly the same as a teeny piece as it does on the big. And so what I'm wanting you to at least begin to think about is getting all of this stuff out of your head into manageable spans of care. And let's say this first one is called leadership. And who is responsible right now for leadership in your world? If it's you, if it's your circle. Anybody? Who is it? It's you, right? I mean, and then let's look over here. Let's say recruitment or whatever you put on this list, all these things that are in your circle, right? Who's responsible? Who's responsible? Is you. So at first, your name is going to be in every single one of these. I get that, right? But what it begins to do is help you to see how you can begin to delegate. And you can begin to see who you need to pour into next. And I don't want to I'm almost afraid to even show this to you because some people get overwhelmed by it. And I think all you need to do is take this next step first, but then you can start to break each one of these circles down into smaller spans of care. So you could literally make it look like this, if that makes sense. And that is what is called the fractal model. And then you learn how to delegate. And what I mean by delegate is you learn to delegate, don't dump. Okay. I'm not talking about dumping on somebody. There is a process that the T5 system teaches you on how to pass on things to somebody else that is in your head in a way that they actually do what you want them to do. And you both feel good about it. All right. But at least I wanted you to get some stuff out of your head and be able to see clearly how it could be possible for you to do some other things. Now, there are some things that only you can do. I get that, right? But you can learn, you can start to then prioritize some of these things and say, you know what, a lot of these things I don't need to do now, but I could do eventually. And there are some of these things that are really important right now, and I would love to not be doing them anymore, but somebody else could. And I wish we had more time and I'd kind of explain more about how to do that. But again, at the end of this session, I'm going to give you an opportunity and I can help you understand more specific on that.
Hey, Chad, real quick.
Yeah.
Can I just clarify one thing with you
Sure.
on like?
Yeah, absolutely. What did I miss?
We have the different quadrants. So it sounded like what you were saying is maybe I am one quadrant. That's my list of things. And then are the other three quadrants other people?
No. So thank you for that. So, and am I still, let's see, let me just stop. Let's see, I need to go back to my, where am I here? Right here, maybe. All right. What do you see now? You're on mute, Jake.
Case study 4.
Now what do you see?
Still the same thing.
Oh, all right. Well, let's change that to this. What's that do?
It's not changing for some reason.
The
group, all the groups that you work with.
Okay.
Now it's on the busy manager.
Okay. So basically, it's the way to think about it. This is everything that you do, everything, but you're trying to break them down into manageable circles. And like this was a group that I worked with. We went from like 35 to 350. We doubled every year. And when we first started, there were like 4 quadrants, and it was, I can't even remember what they were, but they were like recruitment, leadership development, actually. There was administration, and I don't know, there was another one, I can't remember what it was. And so at first, like in this case, as a director over a hospital, my name was in every single one of those, let's say. But what I began to do is say, who could do some piece of this? And what I began to realize is like, you know what? Okay, I recruited a volunteer that could at least do something. Maybe you recruit your wife or something even. It's like, you know what? I can't do all of it. You can do this with your family. I did this with my family where we would like, all right, who's in charge of, I am doing dishes. I'm doing wash and drying. I'm doing everything in this household. We're going to have to, what all needs to be done? Let's break it into smaller manageable spans of care. And then who would be willing to take on this one? And I want to go into all the details of it, but does that make sense? Where it's everything you're doing that but one day you might be able to find someone else to take it. I just want to be able to show you that how quickly you could actually multiply your effectiveness if you can find other people to help you with it. I'm going to run out of time. So I'm going to just say T5 is the experience, it's culture, and you just need to know how to create a culture. And culture is very important. And then the final one is coaching. And coaching is essential. Everyone needs a coach, Bill Gates would say. And here are some of my coaches. I encourage you to invest in coaching. The way I think about it is like if you were going to go to Disneyland for the first time, and if you knew the right person that could help you get through it in a way that you know where to go, which places at the right time, and how much time you could save with something like that. You may know what I'm talking about there. And then you have a choice, and you can either continue to do what you're doing till now, or you can ignore what I'm telling you, right? It's up to you, it's fine. And, or secondly, you can act on this information and you can start putting the T5 strategies in and freedom for your life and your business. And so how we help is this: we set aside some time to speak to you personally on how you can apply these ideas to your life and business. We spend about 60 minutes speaking to you one-on-one to craft a specific game plan to reach your goals. And it's 100% free. And you may be going like, well, what's the catch? Well, there is no catch. It really is free. But the reason why we do it is because we know that if we can help you come up with a good plan, you might actually say, would you help me with that plan? Right? I mean, I have to make money. I'm not saying I'm a business guy, right? But it is for you. It really is. And whatever we can do to help you at least get started, that's what we want to do. So the way you can do that is you can go to chatterhurt.com/busy leader. And you just I've cleared out my schedule. Well, I haven't completely cleared it out, but I've tried to clear out as much as I can for the next week. And so, but I've, it's starting to fill up already, actually, because I did one other of these, I know, a day ago or something, or a couple days ago. So go to there. More than happy to help you if you want to do that, right? And then last, I told you I was going to do a Q&A. So I'm going to, those who want to stay on, I'll do a Q&A. And those of you who have stayed on to the end, I promised you I'd give you a PDF. And here's how you get the PDF. I'm going to, Jake, you might put this in there too. It's freeme.co/busy leader PDF. freeme.co/busy leader PDF. And that is do that. I mean, this right here is just some really good stuff. And I really just, and if you want to just get on the call and ask me details about this, I'd be more than happy to help you with that. I think what you'll find, these are just really helpful processes, or maybe it's more clarity on the circles that I just did. I don't know. But get on a call and let's just have a conversation and see if I can't help you further. Okay. Anything else, Jake? Am I missing anything?
No, I think you're good. I think if you want to exit
Any
the
questions?
presentation, and we can do a Q&A for anybody who wants to.
Absolutely.